Hey guys, welcome to yrrhelp, and this is my third video on Spring MVC series. And in my last video, I have shown you how to do a basic setup of a Spring MVC project using a Maven and Spring Boot. So if you haven't checked my video, I have provided a link in the description. Please go through it once. And in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to write a sample and a simple e-commerce application or an online store application. So for that, what I did was I just scrapped out few HTML and CSS pages so that I don't have to worry about front end part. So this is my header part here. So here I have basically the normal tag lib, so which is basically JSTL tags. I have provided the basic header and the navigation bar here. So this I have included in header.jsp. The reason because we're going to be using this header.jsp in all our upcoming JSPs, so that's why I created this header and navigation in a separate JSP. And in that home.jsp, as you can see, I have included that header.jsp. All right, so and I created a product underscore which I'll be talking about in a bit. And the one thing which I missed in the previous video is that I have forgot to add JSTL tag dependency in pom.xml. So just pause this video and add this tag basically. And I have also added another dependency for a Solid API. Again, you can just copy this and paste it in your project. And one more thing, I'll be providing this entire project I'll be placing in my website, so you can see the link in the description and you can just download entire project. Right, so and as I said, we'll be developing an e-commerce application, and I'll be using this application to explain all the Spring MVC concepts. Right now in this video, what we'll be focusing on is that we'll just display all the products available in our store. So for that, the very first thing we have to do is that we have to create a model. And I hope you're familiar with MVC structure, which is a model, view, and a controller. All right, and here views I'm dealing with or JSPs here. And if you are using any other view component, then it's completely good to go. You can still watch this video. And yeah, as I said, we'll be creating a new model, and I'm going to call it as product. So this is nothing but your Pojo object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly identify the properties which are available in this model. Yeah, I have given as ID, name, description, price, and seller. Right. So I'm going to go to my source, and I'm going to say generate getters and setters. So just select all properties, and yeah. And the next thing is I'm also going to add a constructor and generate constructor using fields. Select all the fields and just click on OK. Yeah, that's it. So now we have our basic model. All right, now the next thing is that I'm going to go to my let me just run this product. I'm going to show you how it basically look like. Right, yeah, just go to localhost. Yeah, we have our sample header and navigation. So this header and navigation is available in header.jsp, so in case if you're confused. And the next thing what we're going to do is that when we click on products, we're going to display all our products available in our store. So that's the very first thing we are going to do. So as you can see here, the products, when I click it's going to product slash all. So this is because this is what I mapped in the navigation. Yeah, if you see here, I have mapped it to product slash products slash all. So yeah, as we know that which I explained in my second video, MVC gonna handle this using a controller. So what MVC does is that it's gonna look all the controllers, and it's gonna get a particular method which is mapped to this particular URL. So that's how it works. And now we have only one controller which is mapped to only the root. So that's why when we go to our home, which is this, it's displaying home.jsp, so which is what we're writing in our view component. So just like that, what we're going to do is that we're going to create another controller here, and I'm going to name it as product controller. So this is the controller which I'll be using to handle all our product related web pages, right? So in that, as usual, I'm gonna map it as a controller. So by this way, MVC will know that this is a controller component. And then the next thing is I'm gonna create a method which sends all the products, and let's say string get all products. Now return. Right now, as I said, I have created one JSP here, product underscore all. So I'm gonna map to the same view underscore all JSP. Now the thing is that we have to map this controller to whatever the thing we have defined in our header, so which is nothing but products slash all. So I'm just going to do a class level mapping here first. So I'm going to say request mapping and value, let's say products slash all. Well, you can define like this, it will still work. So whenever you try to access products slash all in URL, it will go to the default method. It works very well, but we're going to do a simple segregation here. We're going to take off this all. So here what I'm going to do is that I, instead of saying request mapping, I'll be saying get mapping. So get mapping and request mapping both are same. The thing is that a request mapping is a the generic one which is common for both get mapping and post mapping. But when I say get mapping, it means it only handles HTTP get method, and if you're trying to access your URL via post method, it's not going to work. So as you'll be understanding by now, this method URL mapping is completely related to this class level mapping. So if you try to access like your home URL slash all, it's definitely not going to work, because as I said, it's related to this class level mapping. So if you want to access this get mapping, you should be using your URL like this. So which is what exactly we did in we did here. All right, so I hope you are able to understand a little bit here. Right, so yeah, we have defined our mapping here. So next time when we try to hit this particular URL, it will come here. So now the very basic thing is that we need to populate data to our JSPs, which is our view. So that views can render the data and it can display the data in our web pages. So uh, as a thing, we have our product class here, which is our product model. And the thing is, we just have to pass the list of all the products to our views. So it's very simple. What we're going to do is that first we're going to create an array list of products. Now I'm just going to quickly add a few products here. Let's say add. I'm going to create a new product. Let me just copy paste this stuff. Right. So ideally what happens is that it's not that you're going to define your entire thing in your controller itself. So you will have separate class to handle your business logic, and you will have a separate class to handle your database logic. So ideally in your real world application, so your controller will delegate to your service layer, and your service layer will do all the business logic. And if your service layer needs any database support, it's going to call DAO layer or a repository layer. So that's how it works. But for our simplicity, I'm just grouping everything here. But yeah, in a moment, I'm gonna segregate everything into separate layers. All right. All right, now we have our list of products available. The next thing is that we got to pass to this, we have to send to this view. Now Spring has another a separate class called modal. So this modal is basically used to send or transfer data between your controller and view. So what you got to do is that you just have to append your data to your model. So I'll say add attribute. And if you remember your servlets programming, you can remember something like request dot as set attribute or set parameter or something like that. So this is exactly the same thing here. So I'm going to say model dot add attribute. So here you have to provide key and your actual value. So as the value, I'm passing it as this list of products, and key I'm going to say as products. So this key is actually used to get the information from JSP. Now when I open product underscore all JSP, as you can see here, I have one basic skeleton, some HTML stuff here, and I have defined name, price, seller, but I'm not actually populating the values here. So the very first thing I'm going to do is that we should be able to iterate through all the products, and we should display the information here. So that's why I have used JSTL. JSTL has that support to use that for looping structure. So I'll be using this JSTL tag, right? What I'm doing is that, so this is how you get the value from your controller. So here I'm defining key as products, and if you want to get this value, so in your JSP, you will say something like this dollar within braces. You'll define your key, the actual key. So now here I have my entire list, and with that list, I'm using for each logic. So this for each logic is similar to your Java. So this will give you a single product, and with the single product, as we know, this single product is our actual Pojo class. So in that, I'll do something like this. Name, instead of name, I'll say product dot name. And again, as I said, you have to enclose in curly braces and dollar, right? So when I do something like this, what happens is that it's gonna call get name on your Pojo class. So it's gonna call this method, and it will return the actual name. So that's why, as I said, getters and setters are very important. And then the same thing I'm going to do for price as well. So price, I think it's, yeah, price, and seller, yep, the seller. I think that should do the trick here. So what exactly are we doing is that from controller, we are sending all of our products to the view using model class, and in our JSPs or any particular views, I'm just catching the entire information, and I'm displaying it, I think. So let me just rerun my server and see what happens. So ideally what happens is that when I click on products, it should display all our products. Yep, this is very excellent and neat. So what really happens in behind is that when I click on this particular products, it's going to go to products slash all. And as you can see, in our controller, we have map put products underscore, sorry, products slash all to get all products method. And we are returning some kind of data through the model to our views, right? So in the views, in our views, I'm capturing the data. So this is very, very basic flow. All right. Now, the second thing is that I've told you that we'll be using services and repositories in our application. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to quickly create a project, sorry, a package to hold all my services. So this service, as I said, it will hold all the business logic kind of stuff. So I'm going to create my package as com.yrrhelp.services. All right. In that, I'm going to create a service called product service. Right now, what I'll be doing is that I'll be moving this logic, the entire logic, to the product service. Right, I'm gonna say, let me just create a method here first. Public. Let me just move this logic to here. So I'm just gonna return a list of products. We have just defined some basic method, and we have moved our business logic, or whatever the logic it is, to our service layer. Next thing is that we have to call this service layer from the controller. For that, I'll be using a Spring Dependency Injection. So I'm going to say private product service. Let me just call it as, all right, product service. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to auto void this one. Sorry, it's small. Auto void. So by this way, what happens is that Spring will give me an object for product services. But in order to give you an object, so this product service should be identified as an component or a service. Now, if you're wondering what is this service, service is nothing but just a extension of a component or something like that. So we don't have to worry about that. Now, when I say auto void, it will create an instance for me. So now what I can do is that I can just call so and so method get all products. Alright, now typical world, as I said, we will have one more layer which is nothing but our repository layer. So that I'll be telling you when we are actually dealing with the database. So I think it will be around 3 or after 3 or 4 videos. So currently we're not focusing on database part, so that's why I'm not creating a repository layer. Good, now we have segregated our methods. Now I'm just going to run my service again, make sure that it's not breaking anything. Right, just click on products. Yep, it's working fine. So all right, now currently what we did is that we just dumped all our products information to the view. Now let's say for example, if you want to display a specific product information, let's say for example, if you want to display iPhone information, when you click on browse, you got display, you need an input for iPhone. And let's say if you want to display Samsung information, you need an input for Samsung here. So there are some situations where your input varies. I mean, the URL might dynamically change. So based upon your input. So to handle that kind of situations, so we need something called a path variable, which takes that a dynamic variable inside that URL. So let me just show you how does it works. I'm going to create another method, public string, let's say get product by ID. And as you can see, the ID is the input for me here. So I'm going to do something like this. Same get mapping. And here, as I said, my ID is going to be a variable. So in that situations, what I'll be doing is that I'm going to create a double braces or whatever it is, open and close braces. And inside that I'll define my key product ID. Right. Now what happens is that when you define something like this, first it will take this relate to path products, and if you get something like /1, it will go to here, and if you get something like /2, it will come here. But if you say something like /all, it's gonna go here because we have already defined a specific mapping for this one. So if you're passing anything other than all, it's gonna go to this particular method. All right, and the same thing here, model underscore, sorry, model. All right, now the thing is that we have to capture this value, so then only we can display specific product information, right? So how do we do that? It's very simple, string ID or product ID. Now the thing is that we have a special annotation called path variable. So it captures whatever the URL request you are passing. So here I'm going to define my key as product ID. Right, so that's very simple and straightforward. Now let me just create a view, sorry, return a view here. So I'm going to say product. So this is the product.jsp page. Now inside that I'm going to create an another method in service layer. Instead of saying get all products, I'll say get products by ID. Well, just to save some time, I have copy pasted few lines of code here. So this is a new method which we have created. So with this ID, we should be able to return particular product by iterating through all our list. So I'm using strings here. I'm using stream functionality here, which is available in Java 8. And if you're not using Java 8, you can just use normal for each loop or for loop. So what it does is that it will return you a single product based upon the ID whatever you have specified. All right, now that should do the trick. So I'm gonna I'm gonna change my name key as product. Yeah, sorry, we have to pass that ID. I'm gonna pass this particular ID. Another thing is that I'm gonna create another JSP product. Now I'm just gonna quickly copy the code from our product underscore all. Now what I'll be doing is that I'll just remove this for each loop. I don't think we'll be needing this. Right inside that, what I'm going to do is that instead of saying button as browse, I'll say as buy. Now here you can do so many things like displaying a fancy image or anything. Yes, we can even display description here. I think we have our description, so I'm just going to display description as well. Right, now let me just rerun my program. All right, so when I go to products, it will display all the list of products, and when I click on a particular, sorry, we forgot the main thing. So the thing is, when we click on browse, we should actually redirect it to our controller which we have defined here. So for that, I'm going to go to my product underscore all. So here you can see the button which is saying browse, so which is exactly this one. So when I click on this thing, it should go to particular URL, right? So we have defined this URL as products slash we should pass the ID, right? Product ID. So what we are doing is that we are dynamically constructing our URL. So let's say for example, when I click on Apple, sorry, when I click on iPhone browse, it will take this iPhone ID and it will frame URL as product slash 123. So let's say if I click on Samsung, it will frame like product slash 124 or whatever the ID. So this ID we are taking and we are getting in controller, and we are processing something and we are returning back the actual product information. So let's see what happens. Let me just rerun again. Yep, products, all products. So when I click on browse, we have oops, I think it should be description. I think we messed that up. Yeah, yeah, the thing we need to identify is that if you see the URL, this is nothing but our iPhone UID. Now when I go back to products, and if I click on Samsung, it will have another URI which is 124, right? So when I click on LG, it will have another URI. So this is how the dynamic URL works in Spring MVC world. All right, guys, this is very basic video, and in my next video, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to show you how to process a form, and I'm going to show you how to do a user registration form and etc. So thanks for viewing, guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you like my video.